Hello everyone, and welcome to game number 3 in our FFA tournament. Cubit taking game number 2, Soren game number 1. Very nice win from Cubit in game number 2. Everyone else was struggling to make money, but he had managed to make the investments into the right places so that he could push on forward and take the game on a very nice power play into kind of pleasure dome play that you don't see very often. pbad once again deciding that he would like to spend an awful lot of money at the start of this game. He is going to take the combo tiles that we've got going on along with a fair amount of iron. This should be a steel mine. No, that's an iron mine, a metal mine. Interesting. Regardless, he's going to grab it up, try and use that to push on to HQ level 2 almost instantaneously. Can't quite get it immediately this game, but he will have it in just a moment.
Full hardware upgrade complete.
And he is going to use that to try and propel himself very far forward this game in order to compensate for his 64,000 debt that he is elected to take on. Soren, on the other hand, he grabs up 57,000 debt to get it once again a strong scientific position. Silicon very close, water and iron adjacent are exactly the kind of things you look for. However, the aluminum is going to be a bit awkward for him. And his early found, that is not going to be doing a whole lot for him anytime soon. Thankfully, with the fact that pbad doesn't need aluminum and is pulling in a ridiculous amount of it, aluminum's price is very low, and so Soren, he might have even been better off just skipping this tile entirely. But he will not be punished heavily for its distance away from his base. After that, we did have Bradbury found, third. That would have been Cubit. Well, people know it already, which is amusing. And pbad making sure to point it out. And so we do have carbon for Cubit, some aluminum. He's moving into some water. And he should have one more tile somewhere. I'm not seeing it. I would expect it to be silicon. But I'm not seeing it anywhere. No, that's not even... Yeah, that is his water. Cubit, where's your last tile? I might have to wait for the line to get to see it. Oh no, he still has a claim sitting around. Never mind. I was just looking at Soren the whole time or something. Or maybe blues. Doesn't really matter. Regardless, Cubit needs to pick his last one. It looks like going to just be silicon. Plenty of silicon available on this map. Don't know if it was absolutely necessary to secure some of it so early rather than moving into something like double glass furnace, scrapping the aluminum, but it should be an acceptable play. It is a very standard scavenger move. Blues is still stuck on HQ level 1. He was last to found, moved into too much iron and aluminum. Did not move into enough steel, and so he is definitely going to be struggling this game. Not off to a fast start at all. This is what happens when you are late to found against someone with such strong tiles as PB had. They are going to take that cash from iron immediately. You are not going to have the money to buy the steel that you need to upgrade, and it puts you into a very, very awkward position at the start of the game. Have to be aware of the fact that when you found late, you need to move into steel, basically, as an expansive player. Unless, for some reason, nobody is selling iron, which does happen. pbad has managed to move up to HQ level 3. He should be looking at power before long, not letting his debt get overly out of control. He elected not to secure this geotherm on HQ level 3. I think that was a big mistake. He should have known that someone like Cubit would be after his geotherm to take it away from him. Instead, he selected to go for a lot of water and not commit steel to this geotherm, not commit a claim to that geotherm, and I definitely don't like that decision. He's still in a strong place. He should be able to upgrade very, very soon, as he is producing a very large amount of steel here. Already has the electronics secured, and the water is doing just enough that he'll be able to get some more electronics purchased up before too long, and at least get all of his buildings constructed if he decides that's necessary, whichever he decides is necessary first at HQ level 4. Regardless, I don't really like the move of letting this geotherm slip through his fingers. Soren has pushed HQ level 3. He is doing very, very standard things with that. Once again, Soren in an absolutely fantastic amount of debt. I mean, that is nuts. 107,000 so far this game. He is not a robot. He has to watch out for these life support prices. He has to watch out for he just has to watch out more, guys. I don't know how else to put it. Now, pbad, he should have actually taken power. he's going to be forced to take wind turbines instead. He's not really taking advantage of himself as a robot, in my opinion at this point, not taking that geotherm off his fast upgrades. So on and so forth from there. Has put himself into a bit of a bind. But Soren, long term, could suffer quite heavily from this debt. Even though he's already on HQ level 3 and making decent money with his tiles, he is still not in a good spot and is going to have to just flood that power market to pay down some of this, I think, if he can manage to push to HQ level 4, which he should be able to do fairly soon. pbad already on 4. He just committed everything to power. It got frozen immediately with an EMP. Not surprised at all. pbad trying, it looks like, to knock down the Goon Squad. He expected this to be Goon Squadded. That was just a simple network virus getting thrown at him. Thrown at Qubit. So that was expected to be caught. And it most certainly was. Qubit just putting everything he has into making sure pbad does not get to take an advantage off of his early found and is in fact punished for it with all this power play. You can't meta game at all. Oh man. pbad does have a point. He is down a game. It is pretty obviously him. He's making very, very obvious pbad plays. pbad not at risk of winning the tournament this game, or other players aren't at risk of him winning the tournament this game, I should say. But attacking him still does make an awful lot of sense to me if you were someone like Qubit or Soren. Soren in particular, I think, should have gotten very, very aggressive against pbad after all the plays that Qubit had already made to knock him down. Soren could easily sit on HQ level 4, make money off of all of his stuff very easily as a scientific player, and begin purchasing pbad's stock, and certainly create a very, very interesting situation this game. That's what I would have absolutely loved to see out of Soren at this point. Continual attacks on pbad until he's dead. If a majority buyout does not happen on pbad this game, I am going to go nuts, and I've lost all faith in these players.
Your stock is being bought.
All right. We do see people starting to get aggressive against pbad stock. It is both Soren and Qubit attempting to push for it. Qubit is sitting on about $16,000. Soren on about only 3.5. So Qubit, it does look like, is in a slightly better position to try and get this purchase onto pbad. Just from the immediate position, but I am concerned about how much money Qubit's actually making in the moment. I guess the big thing is Qubit, once again, no debt. He is making a ridiculous amount on power. He's making an absolute insane amount of money on power. Nobody has shut that down. Nighttime has come, and that's going to slow it down a bit, but this power play from Qubit, I expect, is just going to carry him on through to the majority buy, and everyone else is going to have a very hard time this game, unless Soren can manage to get at least one more stock purchased up. Alright, pbad gets that stock purchased up.
Yeah.
He does guarantee his survival for now. And now Qubit has decided he just wants that money back. He's not interested in playing the stock game at all right now. He's just taking that money back, which indicates to me that he is likely going to want an upgrade fairly quickly. He only took one back, though. Are you going to upgrade? There it is. So Qubit has managed to push to HQ level 5 second after pbad. pbad not really making a whole lot of money at the moment, it looks like. Has to be too concerned about power and paying down debt. Already, most of his stock has disappeared, so I actually don't like that decision out of him necessarily. What I almost want to see out of pbad right now is a focus, would have been a focus on making cold hard cash. Whoa, that is dangerous out of Qubit. Oh, Soren, you upgraded! Soren, you upgraded! Oh, no. That could have just gotten so much more interesting. Now, Qubit is still sitting on an absolutely insane amount of cash based off of power. There needs to be all kinds of shutdown happening on Qubit's power right now. Absolutely, or it should have been a long time ago, quite frankly. Power's falling off rapidly at this point. So Qubit's made his money, but it's more than enough to do something like threaten Soren. And Soren has not set himself up in a position where he can defend against this whatsoever. He is trying to buy some of his own stock, but Cubit just has so much cash, guys. And almost all of this is power, right? The reactors are doing well at this point. On the other hand, they could have just been more power earlier. Water's not really doing a whole lot. The glass isn't doing much. The silicon's not doing anything. Alright. Cubit actually does elect to just go for the pbad buy. So pbad gonna get knocked out of this one. I don't believe that was even a majority. That was just a very simple, I am going to shift by you at some point.
Bidding will begin at
Worked out well.
Expansive colony expanded.
7,000, 8,000, 9,000, 10,000.
Alright, claim auction. Don't really know what's going to happen here. Soren and Blues both will be looking to get very aggressive against Cubit. As they should know for sure by now that this is Cubit. This is the exact same style he went with last game. He is once again not being punished for it at all. There are plenty of tools to have done so. These dynamites would have been very, very strong early on. The EMPs could have had some usefulness as well. But both Blues and Soren, I'm curious what they've done in the black market so far this game. This is a very important detail. PB had only made 2 black market purchases, but that was because he was in D debt most of the time. Cubit has made 11, whereas Blues has made 4 and Soren has made 4. That is not enough, especially because a lot of them, like Soren made 2 claim purchases, and it looks like Blues was trying to get some mutinies down. Those are definitely strong decisions. But one of them, like some of those were only just now happening, EMPs onto this carbon, trying to make sure that Cubit can't actually keep expanding and pressing forward. Unfortunately, it's a little late. He's already gotten most of his buildings constructed, although it might hurt some of his electronics income. Soren has pushed into a patent office and carbon scrubbing. That's going to be strong for him. With his electronics production, one has to expect. But he doesn't have teleportation yet, and he is getting pirated. So he is going to have to watch out for that. Not necessarily in a strong place is Soren at this point. Blue's sitting on a fair amount of cash, enough that he can threaten Soren a bit, but not enough to actually finish a buyout, as he would need to go for a full buyout this game, I believe. Blues has managed to, however, push to HQ level 5, but once again, Cubit's the scary one here. His stock price is very, very high. He got 8 extra claims, so that compensates for the fact that he was scavenger this game. And the big deal, I believe, is that he only now has pushed into an engineering lab, and he hasn't pushed into a patent office or anything of that sort just yet. So there is the potential for Blues to successfully be a threat this game. However, he needs to keep this engineering lab functional. He needs to make money in the right places. And we need to take a look at Offworld Market. Yeah, that's understandable, PB. Alright, so Offworld Market, much stronger this game. 541 on food is what we're looking at. Blues should have one of those down now. Like, at this moment, there should be an Offworld Market building, in my opinion. There is no excuse for not having an Offworld Market constructing this game, with food being that strong. Instead, it looks like Blues is trying to make some stock purchases onto Soren. That is not a good thing at all for either player. It's just going to distract both of them away from Cubit, who will eventually manage to construct an Offworld Market of his own. And man, that carbon surplus, that's interesting. Pleasure Dome coming down for Cubit, no big surprise. He's only sitting on about $31,000 of debt. Pleasure Dome should pay through that fairly quickly. Where's the Offworlds? Alright, good. There is an Offworld. Thank you. 25 seconds in for Blues. That's how far he is into this Offworld. He is going to be trying to use that to press on through. It needs to be goon squatted. Should have been goon squatted yesterday at this point. Hopefully he will be alright. Whereas Soren is just trying to sit on this patent office. Not necessarily a bad decision. He is scientific, which definitely allows him to more easily utilize the patent office. It just does its research so darn fast. that he should be in a fairly strong position. Big freeze down onto Blues. Didn't hit his Offworld, which was hologrammed. Did appear for just a moment, as that is what holograms do for reasons. I can't tell you why. Everybody, of course, does know about the hologram. So, oh, he's actually got a second one constructed. Maybe he's had that up the whole time and I just didn't see it. Regardless, Cubit is still sitting on a good amount of money right now. It's threatening Blues so effectively. I guess Blues just needs to purchase one more stock, and he will be secure against Cubit. Hard to say exactly what Cubit's thoughts are at this point. He did push to the Offworld as expected. He can obviously build 4 of them if he likes. And he does have 2 engineering labs running, so you can tell that he's still in a fairly strong position. Now, no spies this game. So it's a little bit difficult to be sure exactly what buildings are what for everyone. Holograms are being used quite extensively here. So we are just going to have to see how that goes. However, it should be very obvious to everyone that this building is an Offworld. If they've been paying attention, they saw it as an electrolysis reactor, then an engineering lab. It is likely going to switch over to food. There it goes. In just a moment, that building can only be a hologram, and therefore is very likely to be an Offworld. Blues does have a lot of cash on hand. He can start threatening Cubit, but Cubit should be able to defend himself against it. But Blues was the first to the double Offworld. No adrenaline boosts to really abuse it this game, but still could easily set himself up in a very strong position here. He also has this very nice carbon production for himself. A little bit of it's kind of frozen-y at the moment. But still very nice, as whenever Cubit is moving into Offworlds, it just hands more money over to Blues, and of course Soren is just elected to ignore the situation and take carbon scrubbing. He has moved out of the patent office at this point and into his own Offworld. Soren definitely kind of lagging behind this time. It is more Cubit and Blues who are the aggressors here. The question is, who can afford to get aggressive and defend themselves at the same time? And unfortunately for Blues, Cubit's stock price is just so high. It's going to be very difficult to press through it, even with the double Offworlds launching food. He also has a ridiculous amount of food production to go along with that. I am concerned about his water. It doesn't look like Blues set up for that perfectly quite yet. He is instead opting to just learn how to make food better, which is fine, and can work, certainly. Cubit is just burning cash with some of these reactors. I know they're not all reactors, but still, Cubit, you gotta make some transitions. That carbon price has been causing him some problems, and 5 tiles committed to carbon is quite a large number. Blues may be in a position to turn this one on its head with just a little bit of help from Soren, and Soren really should be helping Blues right now, if you're thinking in terms of the meta sense, which he kind of is by purchasing up Blues stock. It's the kind of play that's actually a very strong thing for both Soren and Blues. It's exactly what you want to see, because Soren is no threat to Blues at the moment. Blues shouldn't mind Soren having his stock, but Cubit's definitely not going to be happy about it. So, from both a game sense and a meta sense, these two players need to be working together to bring down Cubit. And we'll just have to see what happens, because if Cubit takes this one, he takes the game, and everybody can be fairly certain this is Cubit. He's been making very, very Cubit-style plays. Cubit also has a fairly large amount of power production, but was not selling power. There, he just started again a moment ago. So he was trying to force an issue of it, but I don't know if it went too well for him. So let's actually check where we lay with this stock. We're looking at food, still making strong money in Offworlds. Blues is still in 2 of them. Cubit only ever pushed to 1. He may be headed for a second if he can pull it off, but he is definitely not in a strong place right now. He is not successfully making huge amounts of cash, although much of his stuff has become more beneficial once he knocked that water price down. So that's at least going a bit better for him. Blues needs 651,000 at the moment to kill Cubit. Cubit needs 623,000. So Cubit needs a little bit less cash. Very impressive work by Blues, actually, to push the game to that point where he doesn't need too much less than
Offworld
Cubit
shipment launched.
in order to succeed in that buyout. Now, this whole time, Soren is still sitting there, and he is at risk, but nobody is likely focusing on him too much. I would love to see him just churning out engineering labs right now, being like, you two need to kill each other first. My chance is to come back when none of you are paying attention. So just committing super hard to eventual money, not current money, is what I want to see him do as much as he possibly can. Whoa! Alright. Dynamite hit, but I think that was just... Oh, that was an off-world market getting taken down. Was hologrammed, but somebody identified it, got that dynamite hit. That's very, very strong indeed. Blue's off-worlds are all still just fine. That is quite a lot of cash taken away from Cubit. Glass and electronics, both very, very expensive. Not a good place for Cubit to be. He's only sitting on 150,000. Blues is looking at more like 370. So Blues very far ahead in this race, but Soren is still a threat back here. He's turning himself into more of one. As you can see, he's rebuilding a steel mill. That's unfortunate for him. But he does have a pleasure dome of his own coming down. That is not going to make a lot of cash, but it will cut into Cubit quite heavily, which is all Soren really cares about right now. Soren would love to take this win as he would take the match with it, but the most important thing to him is that Cubit does not take this game. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Blues still sitting on only about $400,000 now, it looks like. He is making money very gradually. Still, just those off-world launches, making sure to keep him in it. These engineering labs are okay, I suppose, maybe a bit aggressive on them. That is a very large amount. Would have loved to see a little more aluminum getting collected, for example, if at all possible, but unfortunately, the off-world market is a bit poorly placed for that.
Look at all
Excuse me, guys. All this talking has driven me a little hoarse over here. Blues is sitting on a fairly ridiculous amount of iron, it should be noted. Almost 3,000. It's worth $60 a piece, but doesn't really do a whole lot for him in the moment. Still looking at about 715 to finish it off. Cubit probably going to be looking at more like 700 by the time everything is said and done. Cubit is pushing into 3 off-worlds at this point, trying to get them constructed so he can very effectively make money. But this just opens up more holes in certain ways for him to get mutinied, for him to get attacked again and again and again. Mutiny down onto this hacker array, which is actually a hacker array. Might not have been exactly what Cubit was after, but he will be able to use it. Both players actually going for an aluminum shortage right now, which amuses me quite a bit. I'm glad Cubit finally managed to move into aluminum. The price was up at $200. This shortage should work out very, very well for him to make money, but I do worry that it's going to be too little too late. Blues is knocking on the door 90%. Cubit's down at 50 still. This shortage is going to have to get a lot of work done in order to pull Cubit back into the game. But combined with the ridiculous price of aluminum and the fact that Cubit is pulling in far too much of that, it may still do what it needs to do. But the mutiny is going to run out. Oh, the mutiny's only thinking machines is really biting back here. Cubit doesn't have his own hack array. He's going to have to commit another mutiny to this if he actually wants the shortage to go through. He's planning on it. I don't know if he noticed that is not happening right now. That did not go through. Absolutely did not.
Look at all the money.
But Cubit is sitting on 86%. It's just all that aluminum getting pulled in. But Blues is up at 99. 100 for Blues. Does he notice it? The red button's there. Blues is going to bring down Cubit. So now it's just down to Soren and Blues. And so if Soren can pull this back, he takes the game. But Soren has a very long hill to climb here. Very steep hill to climb as well. I mean, he's looking at 1.1 million is what he's going to require to finish this off, whereas Blues only needs 888,000. Let's go ahead and check tech to make sure we're not being too ridiculous here. Blues has about, looks like we're looking at 13 techs taken, whereas Soren is sitting on a similar number. He's only got 9, it looks like. On top of that, Soren's is all in electronics, which I don't believe he's even making at the moment. That's his primary thing. Aluminum, by the way, guys, is stupid. So Blues, I'm very disappointed in you right now because you have used all your claims and they weren't on these 3 tiles right here. But it does look like he has managed to take some aluminum. Looks like he just took the ones right next to him instead. That's acceptable. Obviously, these would have been better, even with slant drilling. And they would have been far more, you know, would have kind of steered away from the EMP and such. But it is good that Blues kind of identified, hey, aluminum's kind of good. Maybe I should use it. And he is utilizing slant drilling to get that work done. So that is good for him overall. Man, that Thinking Machines. I think Thinking Machines may have actually won Blues this game. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, that made such a huge difference. The aluminum shortage not going through, potentially. Absolutely insane.
We caught a dirty rat trying to
Alright,
break
guys.
our stuff.
Well, they're on very, very similar percentages right now, but Blues, he is on 2 Offworld markets. He is making a ridiculous amount of money still from this aluminum. I don't see if Soren I don't think Soren has the edge here. Now, Blues may not identify the fact that Soren has all these Offworlds. In fact, I can be quite sure that he hasn't figured out where the other Offworld is, as it is not Goon Squatted, and Blues is attacking the one that was. So that is unfortunate for Blues. But he can still use this mutiny. He can still kind of force Soren into a defensive position and try to push to a place where he'll finish this off. In fact, Blues, yes, he is making money a bit faster. We're seeing the 75%. As opposed to about 63 is what Soren is looking at right now. So it does look like Blues will be in a position to take this game. He just needs to play the rest of it out properly. As an example, stop making glass, maybe move into some reactors if that's reasonable. There we see them coming down. Another Offworld is being constructed, and I don't particularly like that, but it doesn't matter all that much since Blues still has the lead. Guaranteeing you're going to make more money when you can maintain the lead the entire time is almost never a bad decision, even if it's not necessarily the best decision. 88% for Blues, still 70 back for Soren. I do think we are about to see a game number 4 here and have it all tied up for everybody who isn't PB Head. Still struggling for his first win, getting punished quite heavily for some of his early and poor founding decisions, it looks like.
We caught a dirty rat trying to break our stuff.
Regardless, we're still not there yet, though. 14% is the edge that Blues has right now. Soren is fighting back the best he can with mutinies, it would appear, and making sure to stay goon squatted so that he is going to be safe. But I don't think it's going to quite be there. 95% for Blues now. He is just waiting on another launch or 2 to finish this up. In fact, canceling this launch, letting this one complete, should push him there. Making transitions not really what you're after right now. There, the red button did appear, and Blues is going to take game number 3 and push us up to a game number 4. Alright. That was good work that game by a lot of people. Qubit did an excellent job knocking out PB Head early, getting to that majority buyout. But I think after that, he just stalled out too heavily. Offworlds were so strong that game. Blues just rushed to them, got them established, and nothing ever even got thrown at them. And so Blues was able to just take it, I think, solely off of the Offworld play, really. They were that strong this game. We can see 1.3 million being made there. All this aluminum for Blues that could have been made for Qubit. Actually, it couldn't have been made for Qubit. Qubit artificially holding that price up a fair amount, whereas Blues, he made so much money off of that. That might have actually made the difference in Blues managing to pull on through. The idea that that price was so high, and Blues got an advantage off of it. If Qubit had sold down, that price would have gone back so low, and Blues would not have had that additional bit of income to push on through. That game could have been a whole lot closer and maybe even leaned Soren's way. So that potentially a very strong meta move by Blues. The idea of he couldn't afford, by Qubit. He couldn't afford for Soren to win that game. So he just gives blues that slight little edge as he's forced out of the match. Maybe not exactly what he was going for, but it's what worked out anyways.